Hello and welcome, spooky friends, to Crafting with me, IndieAnnieJones. Today I am celebrating HalloweenPalooza. What's HalloweenPalooza? Well, I have invited all of my crafty friends to share their love and passion for Halloween with all of you in this wonderful playlist to get you inspired for spooky season, which is right around the spooky corner. And I'm going to ask you a very important question. Are you a good witch? There I am, being very good witch with all of these wonderful witches, or are you a bad witch? And of course, some example of some bad witches. And yes, witches are my theme for today. And you can't have witches without a cute little black cat. So here I have Kuru ready and revving to go to help me with my witchy witchcrafts today. I've always seen these cute little witches in the stores, but their price is a little way out of my range. So I'm going to attempt to make my own, and we're starting right here with a Barbie doll head from Dollar Tree. Yes, believe it or not, this is going to be my inspiration for a whole little witchy witch. And of course, Kudu is going to help me by holding my Barbie doll head. I happen to have this wonderful dress form that's also a jewelry holder, but don't let that hold you back if you don't have this. You can use a big Palmolive bottle, you can use a cone, you can use anything you like to create your dress form. And there's even paper mache dress forms in the craft stores if you want to go that route as well. There is a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you can even make her a stuffed doll witch. You can make her in so many different ways, but I just happened to luck out and have this wonderful form. Now, I didn't grow an extra arm. That was Luke coming in to pet the kitty cats while I was trying to set up my craft. As you can see, I have covered the top of that dress form with aluminum foil because I'm going to use clay. And see, I'm telling you here, I'm using the example of a Palmolive bottle. Now, I didn't have the right form Palmolive bottle, if you know what I mean. And what I did here was I covered the form in aluminum foil because I was going to use clay on it, but I didn't want to ruin that dress form because it is a jewelry holder. Am I ever going to, well, you'll see at the end, you will see that I will never use this jewelry dress form as a jewelry dress form ever again because it is just so pretty. Now, I have created a shape for the dress form, and now I am making out of foam clay. I'm using foam clay to make the hands. Please forgive me. I have never sculpted hands. This is as best as it can be, and I'm pretty proud of it, because I did it and I really didn't know how to make a hand, and I think it's pretty decent. And I'm making it so she can hold either a book or some spells or some potions or even a witch's broom. So I think I'm making her a very functional little witch. So the hands, I think, were very important in this step. And there's my dress form covered with the foam clay, and I'm going to use this gardening wire, and I twisted 3 of the wires together to make it a little thicker, but this is going to be the base for my arms. I needed to create arms on this dress form. So as you can see here, I tied the arms together just to get them to shape and to set in the way that I wanted to, because I really needed to have them bend so that I can put different items in her hands and her arms, and that's how I did it, and it was pretty easy. Now I'm going to the Barbie doll head, and I'm going to try to eliminate most of the very bright colors that were on this doll head that was painted on as her makeup. As you can tell, I took off all of that hot pink lipstick. And originally I was going to make her a very vampy witch, very glamorous and stuff, but she just started having a little life of her own, and I saw her in these more natural woodsy colors because I said, you know what, if I were to be a witch, and not to say that I wouldn't be a glam witch, but if I were ever to be a witch, I would have a little cottage in a forest somewhere. So I'd be a woodsy, whimsical witch. I'd have like little fairies as friends and make friends with mice and all that, in a woodland, and an enchanted woodland cottage. That's where I see it. So this is an enchanted woodland witch. So I didn't want her to be blonde. I am going to change her hair, but I couldn't find hair that I liked at Hobby Lobby, so I had to be creative. So guess what I used? I used what I think everybody has around the house, and it's easy enough to find, and it's yarn. So I found this wonderful orange red yarn, and I said, how perfect for a whimsical woodland witch. And what I did was I gathered the yarn together, several strands, tied it at the end, and then I distressed the yarn. I just used a comb and combed through it to kind of give it like that frizzy kind of hair, and I think it came out really, really nice. Once the foam clay has hardened, now I can create sleeves out of this wonderful material. It's perfect for the type of witch that I'm creating. And there's Luna, making sure everything is up to par with her quality control standards. So all I did here was I sewed a tube, and I used my new little sewing machine, the Vevor. And I created 2 tubes for either arm, and I added them separately. I was thinking of making a whole dress, but because this isn't really a doll, I need to make the dress in pieces. Now, check out this beautiful woodsy fabric that I found that I don't know, just screamed autumn to me. And I definitely wanted to add this to my doll. I think it's so perfect. It has little sparkles on it as well, so it's just perfectly enchanting for an underdress for the doll. And all I did is I again sewed it on either side, made a hole at the top, and just created a little tube that I can put over the dress form, and this would be the basis of my dress. Now, I had this leftover, I guess it was a tablecloth that was stained, and it's perfect color for a woodland witch, and this is going to become her skirt. Now I had to open a pretty big hole at the top of it, and as you can see, I have a very small amount, so I didn't cut it into any kind of circle. I just let it just hang, however, like it's, I think, called a handkerchief edge, a handkerchief, I guess it's called a handkerchief edge, and that is what I used. And now I put it all together. I am now putting in the hands. I have added the head, and I'm sorry that I cut out of a lot of these little pieces, but it was a very long process. But I did add a necklace for her. I added this beautiful wired, and it has little leaves on it, this wired ribbon, I guess it's called, or twine, that has all these little leaves. It's perfect to create a belt for her, and that's what's holding up the skirt. And I added the hands. For the witch's hat, I decided to create it from scratch using this foam sheets that you can find at any craft store. But there are these cute little witch's hats that you can find at Dollar Tree and at any craft store, and that's what I'm using as a model, or just to get an idea of the size of what this little witch's hat was going to be. But I thought this brown material, this brown foam sheet, was perfect to create my witch's hat. The foam sheets are very easy to use, and if you use a heat gun with it or a hair dryer, you can mold it into anything you like. Now for the top of the hat, I am just rolling this foam sheet, and it's so easy to do, and it's so easy to use. You can use regular hot glue. Now be careful, don't use too much because it will melt through and warp the foam sheet. So all I'm going to do is just making sure that it's a nice tall, I wanted it to be one of those nice tall witch's hats that have a cute little curly Q at the top. I think those are adorable. And here I am just shaping it into place. And what I'm going to do is just cut so that I can attach this to the hat brim. The hat brim? Yes, the hat brim. And again, all I'm doing here is making a hole to insert the hat top through the hat brim, and just again gluing it together with hot glue is the easiest way to make this. So here I am putting it all together. I'm going to glue the hat brim to the hat top, and that's easy enough to do. And I have her there just to make sure that it's the right height, that it'll fit her head easily. And as you can see, I'm just so happy the way it's turning out. I did have some tulle put under her skirt just to make it a little fuller. And here I am just gluing that hat together. It's going to be perfect. Next, to give this hat a little bit of character, I'm going to use the heat gun, and I'm going to carefully heat up the hat to be able to bend it and mold it into the shape I want. Now you have to be careful when you're using a heat gun and anything with hot glue, is obviously you don't want to overheat your glue melt it down and have to start all over again from scratch. So I just have to be careful exactly how much heat I put on it and how, quickly I use it, and then try to mold it before it affects the glue in any way. As you can see, as it heats up, it actually even changes color and makes it almost look like it's leather. So the end result kind of makes it look like the hat is made of leather. And how cool is that? I want to make a hat like, I'm telling you, when I'm done with this hat, look at that with a little curly Q on top. I want to make this hat for myself, so I hope to include another tutorial in making this life-size shape. And of course, we have a little kitty cat to add some magic to the process. Do I have the most spoiled cats or what? I mean, okay, it's a cat, a little cat nap, little cat break. So now we can continue, and there you can see how with the heat gun, I am able to shape that hat in any way that I like. And it was just so cool to test it out on her and see how cute that looks. Look at that cute little face. Oh my goodness, I love this project. So now, putting it all together, I wanted to add some more embellishments to the hat, and of course Luna is back to make sure that I'm doing everything to her specifications, and she does that without watching what I'm doing, as you can see right there. So all I was doing was adding some dried flowers, some small flowers, and ribbons, and just making it as beautiful as I possibly could for this size. But I am so tempted to create this in a life-size version so I can have a hat just like my little witch doll. And yes, Luna had to model the hat a couple of times to make sure that it was absolutely perfect, which of course it was, because she's Luna and she's adorable and everything, but that hat matched her fur perfectly, and she actually sat there letting me put it on her, and she loved it. So there you go, hats for cats. Now stay tuned for the final reveal so you can see it all put together. And yes, Luna did look cute in that hat, but I think you'll like it much more on the doll. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot to give her her perfect mode of transportation, making a little broom for my little witch. And all I am using is one of those little cinnamon brooms from the Dollar Tree, because not only is it perfect, but it also smells fantastic. And all I did was grab a branch that I found on the street and added the little broom to it. And what I did was, first I untied the broom so that it wouldn't have that big bulky part, because I want to fasten it to this branch properly. So I just glued it in and it was perfect. And all I'm going to do now is add some of this wonderful leafed twine. I don't know how else to call it. It's a leafy twine because it matches her dress so well. And all I'm doing is just wrapping it around. They have something similar to this at Hobby Lobby, but I believe I got this one at Temu. Regardless, you can find any kind of twine and just wrap it around and create your own little broom. Now you can use it for a little witch, or you can use it for any kind of decor, and I think it is just adorable. So make a little broom for your own Halloween decor. Now, as you know, every witch has to have their own special book of spells and incantations. So I wanted to create my own book of spells for my little witchy witch. Now, this will be a very magical and special book, and I'll show you the final reveal. However, the final project is not on this video. I ran out of time, and I will have to include this in the next video. So yes, there is a cliffhanger, and with good reason. So if anything, that little box, that little square that I've cut out might be the reason why we have a second video. So you have to stay tuned. As you saw, I used a USPS express box I had received in the mail, and I repurposed it for this book. So instead of using an actual book, you're creating a book from scratch. And sometimes I think this may be a lot easier. Now, using my favorite Mod Podge from the Plaid family of products, I am going to cover this book and give it texture using Mod Podge and some tissue paper. You can also use this on actual books, but I think the fact that I'm not destroying a book and just creating it from scratch, number one, it's I guess it's more efficient because I'm not destroying a book, and also I'm using the trash that I'm getting in the mail. So it's, I think, saving some money and saving the environment as well. Now, using Plaid products, the folk art matte paints that I received recently as a Plaid ambassador, I'm going to paint the whole cover of this book. Now, I made sure to mix different paints, so I'm using orange and green and brown and yellow because I wanted to give this a very aged, leathery kind of look, and it's faded and it's darker in some places and shadowed. So this is just the beginning of that painting process. Once I was done painting, I pretty much just used some stencils, and they're just French stencils, but it looks exotic. I wanted to do something very different to the cover of this book to make it look more mysterious and not just say spells. And it says something, I don't know, it says something in French. It says something in French, and I can't remember what it means. It means suspend, like suspendes, like to suspend. So I thought, oh, maybe it's to suspend time or to suspend reality. So that's what I used as the cover of this book. Now I'm using styrofoam that I had around the house using my styrofoam knife, and that is what's going to create the pages of this book. This is great if you're going to carry a book around with you because it's lightweight. Also, to put this away and everything, it is also very lightweight. So I'm just cutting it down to size, and this again is going to be the pages of my book. And you're going to say, well, it doesn't look like pages of a book. It will. Give me a chance, it will. Once I cut everything down, I'm putting toothpicks in between and a little bit of glue. I'm just using not hot glue because it melts the styrofoam, but some white glue will help keep it in place with the toothpicks. And I'm just cutting it down. I'm using that sign to cut it down. I did something with the sign, but that'll be for the next video. Now, dragging that hot styrofoam knife across the styrofoam is creating the pages that I need. And it does such a great job because, again, this is an old weathered book, so it's not going to be perfect. I also created a mold I created this pin, or this design, using one of the cameo molds that I have, and I thought I would tie it down with these forest green ribbons to match, of course, my little forest witch. I thought this was perfect, and it's a good size book, so if you put this in your decor, it looks really nice. And again, it's not heavy, and I think it's great. But there is something very special about this book that I'll show you in the reveal, and I'll show you how to make this in the cliffhanger video to come. I was so inspired with this witchy theme that I had to split this video in two because I made so many projects. So if you're interested in coming back for more, keep your eyes open for part 2. And here's a little sneak peek of some of the projects that I made. Now, the best way to keep in touch and know when my next video is coming out is to like, share, and subscribe, and ring that bell so that you're notified on my next magical video. Now for the final reveal. Thank you once again for joining me for HalloweenPalooza. I am so excited because we have so many creators that have joined me on this open playlist to celebrate Halloween and get you inspired to get ready for the spooky season. So make sure to check out the playlist in the link below. Remember to subscribe so you'll get notified about part 2 of this video. And as I always say, stay safe, be kind. God bless each and every one of you, and remember to live the adventure and make it spooky. Woo!